Hello, I realise I haven't done an update on the Roma 240 for quite a long time now, and this is the state of play. We've actually got some new types of fish in here, and it's just not looking the way I like it. I ran out of CO2 for a while, and I think that's had a little bit of an effect. But since the last time we've seen us, I've actually got a CO2 reactor in there at the back, which I may do a video on and describe what's going on in there. But I bought some more plants and some more moss, and I wanted to try and get it attached here, as you can see the Amazon swords there, and try and fill out a little bit of this. The grass is just not growing, and I want to get some beautiful moss on this wood. So here's some of the plants that I've actually bought today and some of the mosses and things like that. So we have two sets of Taxiphylium, I think it is, which is an easy to grow moss, as you can see it down here. It's a little bit dark in the kitchen, but you get the idea. And then I also have two sets of Vesicularia, which actually requires CO2. And that's what that looks like. It looks very, very similar, to be honest with you. It's hard to tell the difference between those two. I've also got two sets of Mythicanthrium, I think you pronounce it, which is like a carpeting plant. Two sets of those. At the back, I bought some Starugni repens, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it is a beautiful green colour. Really nice and green, especially under the aquarium lights, and some absolutely stunning. I can't even remember what these were because there wasn't a label on them, but I wanted something that was really bright and punchy to try and fill out the tank a little bit. Now, when it comes to the moss, because the tank is already submerged underwater, I was thinking, well, how am I going to attach this? Can't use the super glue because as soon as I put it in the water, it'll just dissipate. And using the old fishing line is really, really difficult. So, my idea today was, I bought these bags, zip bags, that I put over the high door water pump. And I've cut a section out here. There you go. I've cut this section out. So my thinking is that if I super glue big chunks of this onto here, then what I can do is I can just use some fishing line or some cotton, put this around the wood, and then just put the cotton around that as one big chunk. Well, that's the idea anyway. So I'm off out now to B&M to see if I can get some super glue and some cotton, hopefully, because they won't do fishing line down there. And hopefully we shall see how it works. If you want to follow this video and see if this works, hope this is a good idea for you as well. I got these bags, incidentally, these zip bags. I think they were on Amazon or eBay. I think I got about 10 for £4. But as you can see here, it looks a little unsightly, I know, but I've got one actually around the high door here to stop a lot of the fry getting killed, because a few of them seem to have suicided by swimming straight into it and becoming, well, let's just say fish soup. We shall talk about the mollies. Unfortunately, I've had to euthanize some of them. Last thing I wanted to do, but unfortunately we did. But I'll talk about the new fish that are in there. But first of all, I'll go get the cotton, we'll attach it, and then we'll do a water change. We'll bring it down. Unfortunately, we're going to take about 50% out this time. And that'll give us the opportunity to maybe get some moss around here, maybe on that back bit there, and see if we can get this tank looking a little bit better. Okay, so I've been and bought some brown thread, as I thought this might tie in a little bit better with the wood rather than it being black or green, which is the one I was going to get. And I also got some super glue. So I'm going to be super gluing the bottom of the moss here. First we have a look. Super gluing all that and then sticking it literally on like that. And as you can see, if we cut it in and spread it out a little bit, this might actually work. Just hoping this doesn't stick to the worktop, but we shall soon find out. Now, does it come out like? Yes, it does. Right. So that's a big dollop there on. Straight on the other side. Press that down a little bit. Just make sure that this isn't going to stick to the actual table. That's a big dollop there. And we'll stick that a little bit next to it, like so. Give that a little push down. Obviously some of this is going to come off. push that down a little bit. And hopefully these little strips might just work. I'll just trim some of that off at the bottom. So we have some bigger pieces here. So hopefully that should be able to fill in some of the gaps with this really beautiful colour. Probably should have done this after I'd done half my water change. But hey-oh, let's just keep these nice and wet. So now we're going to be using the Python system to try and, well, actually get rid of a lot of this water out, and it gives us the opportunity as well to get into the substrate there and clean a lot of the dirt and the debris that's out in the substrate. I'll just get this, dig it in nice and deep, and as you can see there's a lot of gunk and stuff coming out of here. And yeah, we'll take this water down to about 50%. Everything's off, the heater's off, because your heater can explode if it's not covered in water, as I found out as a new fish keeper when I forgot to turn the heater off and I took the water out, and it was a glass one and it exploded and went everywhere. So that's not what you want. Just make sure you don't get any of the actual substrate balls here, as it were, up into the Python system. It's just the muck and the gunk really. As you can see, there's a lot there. It's going to be coming back down. So we'll get that water level down. I wouldn't usually be taking as much out as this, but because we're wanting to get the moss onto this wood, I think it might be the easier solution. Because you can, of course, just super glue it straight on, but if you want to get it around pieces of wood like this, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Just got to be careful we don't suck any fish up here, as there are quite a few fry now in this tank. And I'll discuss the issues I've had recently with the Roma 240 and the inhabitants of this tank. Got to be careful we don't suck up a Norman's lampi there. I'll try and get some more of this horrible debris up here so we can get some more of this muck out. I might have been slightly overfeeding them, but again, it's all a learning process. So let's get the water out of here and we'll come back. So there she is. She's strapped on there with super glue. And now we find out whether it's actually going to stay on. I have put some cotton around some of these smaller little bits here, but fortunately there's a little bit of scum on top where the super glue's gone in. I'm a little bit worried about the chemicals in there, but as we are now filling the water up, it's time to do a cap and a half of Aquasafe. And I'm hoping that the filter, I'm going to put a little bit extra in, I'm hoping that the filter will try and get rid of a little bit of this scum on top, which is a little bit worrying. I hope it's not going to poison my fish. Hey-ho. We're about to find out. Some of the new plants you can see I've actually put in down here, and spread up some of this Monte Carlo grass around, and hopefully the grass just never seems to grow very well in this tank, neither do the red plants, even though I'm subsidising iron in there as well. And there's my syringe for when I put my chemicals in. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what I need to do to get the red plants to grow better, but we'll fill it up back up with water, and I'll let it settle down for a few hours, and then I'll give you an update on the CO2 system that I'm now using instead, which, as you can see, is the tank back there, and I'll talk about that and everything else in this tank. Here we are, we've done our water change, and as you can see we've got those new plants in, some of them down there, and we've got a few of them spread out sporadically around the tank, and the clumps of the Monte Carlo grasses or something like that, and I've got a few little bits over there, but lots of gaps in there. Now when it comes to the actual moss, as you can see, that wrapping round of that cloth hasn't come out too bad at all, and I've wrapped around a little bit of cotton around there as well, and as you can see it is up there, but hopefully eventually it will spread and grow across there, and there's another strip of it down there, and I've tied a little bit of it around these pieces here and stuffed some here with some cotton, and it's come out really quite well. I think it will eventually bed in quite nicely. Now while I was doing this for quite a long time and the water was down to just under 50%, there was a lot of pearling when I actually put the water back in, and that seems to have stopped. I don't know why. So if you've got any idea why that might be, please do let me know. As you can see, some beautiful pearling here on this bit of moss, but I think that was just when I put the new water in. Now the reactor at the back takes the large bubbles at the bottom as the CO2 comes in, and as the CO2 bubbles rise to the top, they get smaller and smaller and smaller, so that you get a great dissipation of the actual CO2 in the water. Well, that's the idea anyway, and it seems to be working, as that's gone green really quite quickly. And it's on 3 bubbles. Now fish wise, what have we got in here? Let me just hide that red flashing button. We have our albino corridors. Now, there's also some salt and pepper ones in there as well. There we go. Some of them are getting a little bit tubby. We've got some new nerites in there. We have a few more cardinals and a few neon tetras in there as well now, so there's a nice flock of them at the back. We also have some Norman lampides, which you can see there, the little blue-eyed ones, which are just amazingly blue under the right light. My reed tetras, my favourite ones, over at the back there. It looks like a blue tear with their neon lights. We've got some platies, and we've also got here, showing off, we have a couple of rainbow fish. I think they're celebrity rainbow fish, that are pretty quite dull until they get in the right position under the lights, and then they really do have a really beautiful colour to them. Barring that, there is nothing new in the tank species wise. You may have noticed, unfortunately I had to cull quite a lot of the Mickey Mouse mollies. Mickey Mouse platies, should I say. There's the male at the back, because they were having so many fry that I couldn't give them away. I tried the advertise them online, nobody wanted them. I tried giving them to my local pet shops. I tried Pets at Home, they didn't want them because I'm not a registered keeper, and it just became a real problem. Unfortunately, I had to euthanize them by using clove oil. You put clove oil in a pot with some tank water, pour it in, and it's like a methadone, not methadone, the drug that we have for pain. It's gone off me at the top. So basically they get sleepy, and it's a very humane way to euthanize your fish. You don't flush them down the toilet or decapitate them or anything like that. Clove oil is the way to go. So that's where we're at the minute. Tank's not looking, it's not looking how I want it to look. Let's put it that way. I wanted it to look like we've picked up a bit of the Amazon, and here it is. A lot of this grass, it's got really brown on the ends. I don't know why. I'm putting is it Neutro and Neutro Plus in the tank. I'm also putting in an iron supplement every 3 or 4 days. I hope that fish is all right. Don't see you at the bottom very often. So I don't know what it is. The red plants never grow. The red plants never seem to grow at all. So if you've got any advice on what I'm doing wrong here, the lights are on for around 8.5, 9 hours. And the CO2 is on for an hour, even longer than that. An hour before, half an hour before, half an hour after. And then I have the air stone at the back pumping the air bubbles through for about an hour and a half to give the fish a break from all the CO2. But that's where we're at. So if you've got any advice or any comments on this tank and the way things are going, then please do let me know. Otherwise, this has been my Roma 240. I wish I knew how to get the plants to pearl. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in another video coming real soon. Bye bye.